Hi and welcome, Elaine Marolakos Edelson with Astrology Mojo. Want to help you get your mojo back? Well, we are, when you find yourself in the thick of it, and we are. We are. We got many retrograde planets. I've been talking about different planets every week lately. And right now I'm celebrating Jane Austen. This is my Jane Austen face. I love Jane. She was a Sagittarian, December 16th. So we talked already about Pluto. We talked about Jupiter. Now today we're going to talk about Saturn in the sign of Capricorn, and also it being retrograde. Saturn, wait. In case you don't know me, you may not know that I say that the planets don't make you do anything, that we live in a cooperation with the cosmos, so that when the planets make a move, you feel it. When you make a move, the planets reflect that by way of aspects and angles in astrology. So I really want you to understand that. The planets don't make you do anything. Everything that exists on this planet, in this universe, in our galaxies, and all of the millions of billions of galaxies and stars and planets, they all have an energy, and we feel that. And that's why it's a cooperation. So that when something happens, an eclipse, a retrograde experience, Neowise, which we got to see the other night, gorgeous, arcing toward the earth. It's amazing. When anything happens, you feel it. How is it otherwise? You are not separate from anything. You make a thing, it's got your energy in it. You know, when I first started out doing readings, I would just hold a person's hand, or I would hold something of theirs, their ring, something that they had on their person. When I first met my husband, it's called psychometry. And it's the art of being able to pick up the energy of the person as it's transferred to an object. Everything carries energy, right? So when I first met my husband, who wasn't my husband, we actually were talking about this, and he said, and he left the room. We were at his apartment. He was a new friend, and he left the room, and he came back, and he handed me a watch. Just a little, and it said Metz. It was like he got it, I don't know, like it was this inexpensive watch. It was this little watch. So I held the watch. My eyes were closed. And I started laughing. And I heard all these people laughing, like having fun. I felt happy and light. And I said, "What is this watch?" And he said, "That's the watch that I would wear on stage." My husband is a former stand-up comic. So that's psychometry. So when an energy is imbued with you, you put your vibe into the world. It's the same with a planet. And so please understand, in astrology, the planets don't make you do anything, okay? There's a whole different, I have a tickle here, fuzz. There's a whole new realization I want you to understand about astrology, and that is when it came to this earth and the ancients were able to perceive the interaction between a planet and a person. It wasn't just the movement of the stars and the planets. It was, what did it look like on the earth? That's why I'm talking about the planets, as they represent parts of you. That's what astrology is meant for, to understand yourself through the signs, the angles, the aspects, the planetary information. So we covered Pluto, which is your shore of your unconscious self, your ultimate fears, your transformation, big time, phoenix rising from the ashes. We covered Jupiter, expansion, every 12 years. You look back every 11 to 12 years and you say, oh, this was what was happening. How can I expand on it further? And it means a whole lot of other stuff too. But, if you listen to the other shows that I did, you'll understand. Now we're going to be talking about Saturn. And as we talk about Saturn, I would like you to be aware that just like you never have one thought, you never just have one thought. There is never just one planetary aspect that you are exemplifying. So you might have a need to act on something, to heal something, to motivate yourself or others, or you may have a need to expand through travel, or your finances, or romance, right? So when you parse those topics and subjects down planetarily, we're looking at, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn. Okay, that's where we're going to stop today. Let me show you. This is an actual Hubble photograph. It's the latest. And I've got to bring it up here. Is that not beautiful? That's an actual Hubble photograph of Saturn. Yeah. Saturn. It's beautiful. It's just, they called it summertime on Saturn. That is Saturn, and it has rings, just like Uranus has rings as well. And they're dust particles and gas, etc. But that's the planet Saturn. And its presence in our lives represents and let me also show you the symbol of Capricorn. Saturn represents Capricorn. Saturn and Capricorn go together like peas in a pod. And also, wait, there's one more. There we go. And that's the symbol of Saturn. And, hang on. I'm also going to bring up my notes for Saturn. Come say hello to me. Today we are talking about Saturn in Capricorn, and Saturn guides Capricorn. So there's an interesting thing. We're going to also discuss when you have a Saturn return. So let me just find my notes. Which I seem to have misplaced. Okay, there's one of them. And let me just, thanks for your patience. Come say hello. How's everybody doing? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Oh, I had the wrong folder open. No wonder I couldn't find it. La la. Okay, those documents are opening up where I have my notes on Saturn. And before we talk about Saturn, I also want to discuss next week in August. Well, it's a little over a week. We're now in the sign of Leo, of course, but we're moving into the yearly portal called the Lion's Gate, 8/8, August 8th. And I'll be talking about that on, let me see. Today is Thursday the 30th, so I would say Monday the 3rd. Let's talk about that on Monday the 3rd so you can utilize it, the energy, and also about Uranus in Taurus. We're going to be doing that as well. So come back and join me. And, my documents are taking a while to open up, and that's a Uranus thing. It is. Well, that's the retrograde. I'm sorry I'm moving so slow today. So slow. There it is. I found it. Okay. So Saturn was discovered Not that it didn't exist before, but it was discovered by Galileo Galilei in 1610. But nobody knows really who pinpointed, hey, that's Saturn, except for Galileo. And Saturn used to guide both Aquarius and Capricorn until Uranus was discovered. But so there's a lot of authority issues associated with Saturn and Capricorn. It's a karmic planet. When Saturn comes into play, what we're looking at is your karma. And your karma not as retribution, but what you need to be focused on, essentially, to grow, to heal, to open, to become more of a being of frequency, of abundance, instead of someone who's limited. Saturn does represent limitations, and it also represents, and where is the Hubble? There we go. Let me just move these around. So we can get like the full picture here. And Saturn represents your deal with authority. What is it? Are you the authority? Who's the boss of you? How do you deal with authority? Judges, police officers, professors, teachers, elders, mentors, father, grandfather. The idea of God. Saturn represents the religious faction. Not so much spirituality, that would be more of a Jupiter thing, but Saturn represents the old-time religion, where God the Father, where only male priests, the Pope, it was like the patriarchal contingency. And now that all definitions are being upgraded, we're looking back at, well, what do I really believe? Is pure conscious love genderless, or does it have a gender? Do I bow to an authority figure? The female priests were ousted in the 2nd century because the patriarchal system was becoming a little greedy. There used to be female priests. And so now, they're back, but not as big. And so you have to look at what is the energy around Saturn. Saturn has so much to do with ambition, authority figures, sometimes not having boundaries, and being a little bit more socially awkward, even though they're very ambitious. Capricorn can be very ambitious. Capricorn rising sign, also ambitious, but more in service of. Capricorn moon, very difficult to be vulnerable, because it's like they gotta hold up that defense to stay strong against invaders. So I think, it's a very Saturn energy is the part of you, even if you don't have a planet in Saturn, even if you're not a Capricorn sun, rising, or moon, or don't have Saturn in Capricorn, you have Saturn in your chart. You have Capricorn in your chart. And so then Saturn guides that house. So, and let me just show you a house. Do I have one here? No, screenshot. This might be an older one from last week. Let's take a look. Yeah. So let's see. Right there. That's Capricorn right there. So you've got Capricorn in your house, in your chart somewhere. In this chart, it's the 5th house. So that means that these planets, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, would be in your 5th house if you were a Virgo rising. It depends on your rising sign. And also, if you don't know your chart, I can get you that link, or Dean can post where you can get your free chart. But in the meantime, I want you to understand that with all of these heavy hitters in the sign of Capricorn now, Saturn is leading the way. because that's its natural placement. Saturn naturally guides Capricorn. So if you are a Capricorn sun, rising, or moon, or have Saturn in Capricorn, you're having a Saturn return, the last 2.5 years have not been easy. Or your life has not been easy because of limitations and fear. Let me just get rid of some of these things. It's getting a little crowded here in my study. Jane would say, ba ba da ba, do 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 do. Okay. So does that make sense? Saturn is one of the 2 karmic planets. The other one is Neptune. And, perseverance, wisdom, yes, piety, very dedicated to the cause is the energy. Hard labor, that's okay. I'll do it. That's all right. I'll do it. So Saturn physically represents the skin, the teeth, the nails, the bones, the joints, because it's the basic structure of your entire makeup. And so when you're with Saturn and Capricorn now, depending on where Capricorn is in your chart or what house it's ruling, it's part of you that's trying to keep the machine going. Just keep it going. It's like, that's all right. I'll sleep tomorrow. I'll just get it done. I'll get it done. I'll do it for you. Well, come on, give it to me. I know you're tired. I'll do it. So Saturn energy can take on too much responsibility for other people. And in the long run, that doesn't really serve, because if you're giving at the sake of yourself, what kind of giving is that? That's denial, something else Saturn and Capricorn are very famous for. So it's like, hard labor, workaholism, victim through limitation. So the limitation is always, there's not enough. I can't do it. I should just keep going. Why bother? And I want you to think of now the planets as a talisman to your understanding for what's possible. Okay, I'm just going to check in. Let me move my notes because I can't see too many things on my screen. La la. Come say hello. How are we doing today? Hey, Renee's here, and Teresa. Happy Thursday. So with Saturn in Capricorn right now, this is a time of inner trial because all these planets are retrograde, right? Saturn has been in Capricorn for 2.5 years. Well, 2 years. It'll leave the sign of Capricorn December 16th, I believe, in 2020, and then it moves into Aquarius. That's a whole 2.5 years of growth and maturation for Aquarius, sun, rising, and moon. But in the meantime, while Saturn is still in Capricorn and it's retrograde, a retrograde planet, remember, is from our perception of the point of view from Earth. The planet is not actually moving backwards. And you've heard me talk about retrogrades before, right? So Saturn, from the position of our point of view of the Earth, it looks as if it is moving backwards. From another planet, it would not look that way. But during a retrograde phase, you're meant to go inward and see, do I really believe this thing? Or am I really still fearful of that thing? Or where do I feel limited? So where do you feel limited? Hi, Christine. You were missing the live? Well, here, we're live now. Hello. So with Saturn retrograde in Capricorn in its own sign, if you have Saturn in Capricorn in your chart, if you are a Capricorn sun or rising sign, you're having a really big time of shedding the old skin, the old doctrines, the old belief systems, and the periods of your life that have been a burden. And you carry it in your body, in your skin, your bones, your teeth, your nails, your hair, your follicles, the basic architecture of who you are, and in certain hormones as well. So a lot of you are undergoing a healing phase, physical healing phase. I, for one, am a Capricorn rising, and I have Saturn in Capricorn. So, yeah. So what I've been doing lately is I've been visiting a place called OsteoStrong because I did a DEXA scan in March, and it showed that I had osteopenia on the way to osteoporosis. Now I'm 60 years old and I work out. I eat really well. But I was on a medication for a while that literally accelerated the loss of mobility in my joints. So I've been visiting this place called OsteoStrong. If you've got it, it's nationwide in America. I don't know about Europe or Australia, but it's amazing. And it is proven to regrow bone. And there are 5 machines that you do. It takes maybe 15 minutes to do the whole circuit and you're done. And so doing this, I feel better because I'm focused on helping a part of my body that was in need. So supplementing with collagen is also important, but not just type 1 or 2. You need type 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's chicken albumin, it's beef, it's turkey, it's fish. So there's lots of different kinds of collagen. And if you're a vegan, you can get collagen from vitamin C and buckthorn berry and plums. So there's certain things you can get collagen from, but not the bigger, more effective kinds if you were not vegan. But definitely look into what you can do for your skin. I had a client who underwent a Capricorn, a whole lot. They are a Capricorn and a Capricorn moon. And they had microdermabrasion done. They had all kinds of scarring on their hands and on their face from a previous incident, a trauma. And then they decided to clean it up, and make themselves feel better. There is no right or wrong about what you need to do for your body if you're not harming your body. We don't want to harm ourselves. So during a Saturn stretch, it's not so easy because sometimes we feel burdened or restrained or restricted. And we put it on the outside world and we go, oh, see, I lost my job. COVID. I had to apply for this surplus package and, that helped. Now what am I supposed to do? So you want to listen to, do you have a victim's voice? Where can you go to ask for help? Is it time to alter the perspective about getting your needs met and how you get your needs met? So if you've not ever asked for help and now you're being forced to, that's not easy. If, let's say, you've mistreated your body in some way and hated yourself, or, self-loathing creates hormones and behavioral patterns that lead up to nothing good, right? So I want you to look at the parts of you that feel stiff, restricted, achy, and limited. And where is the burden in your life? It's like, well, in that 2.5-year period of Saturn and Capricorn, I'm having a Saturn return. And when you have that, or when you have Saturn on your sun, rising or moon, or Saturn in your 6th or 12th house, or even your 8th house, sometimes it feels like it's payback. Somebody, it's like, now I got to pay extra taxes, or the deal fell through, or I got to take care of my aging mother. I have a cousin who's a Capricorn sun sign, and she just had to put her mom into a nursing home, and she's terrified because now visitation is through plexiglass, and the woman my aunt is not doing well. So, we have to trust also that as we do our best and we trust in the universe to provide avenues of support or opportunity, maybe showing us something we didn't know existed and gave us permission, that we can grow. We can grow. And during my Saturn return period, It's been healing my bones and my body. And just at the beginning of that, my mother had passed away. So you see, there's a whole period of time, because Saturn also will move retrograde and then forward. So it lasts about 2.5 years in a sign. And it takes 27 to 29 years to rotate around the constellations. So once Saturn is out of a sign, it won't be back for another 27 to 29 years. So you could look back and say, approximately 27 to 29 years ago, what was I undergoing that felt traumatic, that felt like a burden, that felt like a karmic experience? And do I need to go further with it? Have I finished? Am I healed? Right? Because remember, Saturn retrograde is asking, are you done with me yet? Let me just check in. Hi, Deb. Deb's here. Capricorn, 4th house, Saturn, 29 degrees, Gemini. Well, you like to think, don't you? And apply that thought. Capricorn in the 4th house, there's a lot of restructuring happening, especially with Pluto there. There's a lot of inner workings. With Capricorn in the 8th house, it's more like, that's when the phone rings and everybody hits you up for donations. Anytime when Saturn in Capricorn, or Neptune or Pisces, when they move to your ascendant, 1st house, 2nd house, 8th house, that's when the karmic stuff comes back, where you have to learn how to set a boundary to everyone who's got their hand out. Now, if you're giving, so I heard Esther Hicks tell this really great story about how she and her husband, when he was alive, they would go into a restaurant, and when they met someone, a waitress, who was excited and happy and exuberant, and just so grateful and compassionate, and had a high vibe, really resonated a high vibe, they would tip hugely. Is that a word? Hugely? Like $100 tip. Like, what? And that was to say, thank you for being so aware, so conscious, so kind, so compassionate. And as they went to different restaurants in their town, the word got out. That was the funny part of the story. The word got out that these people were big tippers. So then they started to attract people who were like, oh my God, it's like I got to pay my rent. The waitress would say as they delivered the food, or, I got to pay that bill. And they were like, okay, yeah, that's not the point. You missed the point. You missed the point of being rewarded for being lighter and refocusing the victim toward the opportunity of awareness and connectedness and inner power and inner light. So they had to make it known. It's like to be siphoned is not the same as to be rewarded, right? So if I'm giving to people who are putting a beautiful vibe into the world, that's a karmic reward. That's like, hey, I'm going to tip you because you're amazing. You're light, you're bright, you're happy. It doesn't mean you don't get sad. It doesn't mean you don't cry or get angry. It just means that you're not dumping negative, spiraling crap onto my dinner plate. So I'm going to reward you. And that was the message that Esther Hicks was trying to impart to the people who started coming in with handouts. So when Saturn comes around, it's the part of you that says, I'm obliged to give. I'm doing 5% better than those people. I should just give them everything. Well, giving is beautiful. We are all here to serve, but giving at the sake of yourself consistently, that's denial. Okay, does that make sense? So Saturn in retrograde in Capricorn is meant to show you with the 8th house, the 1st house, and the 2nd house of money, is meant to show you why is there a part of you that feels, okay, I have to do this because there's something on my glasses. Why is there a part of you that feels that you don't deserve to have, period, that you are not worthy of, that you must suffer or struggle before you are rewarded? So when the phone calls come, hey, can you give an extra 10, can you give an extra, can you give? You have to set a boundary. And me being a Capricorn rising and having Saturn in Capricorn, I went through a period of my life where literally I had to start saying no. And it hurt me. It hurt me physically, thinking, well, I have $5 more than they do. I should just give them my $5. And it doesn't mean it won't come back to me. It just means that what's the motivation for giving? Is it sorrow and pity? Are you projecting pity onto people? We don't want to do that, because pity is not empathy. Do you understand the difference? And then you assume a role of taking responsibility for people, places, and things that are not your responsibility. So in order to help other people be uplifted during a Saturn cycle, it's setting a healthy boundary. I used to get emails from people up until very recently where they meet me once online, they hear my video, and they send me long emails about their struggle, their tribulations, it's not my job unless you hire me. Do you understand? Right? Unless I am hired. You wouldn't do that to a doctor, a dentist, a psychologist. It's just not professional. It's not appropriate. If you have a need and I give something here online that helps you, fantastic. If you want to go further with it, there are links that I can give you where you can get your free chart, and then, for $37, you can get your life profile, or the next level up, you can get a short reading with me, or the next level up, you can buy a program with me. You understand? So those are the boundaries. And because can you imagine being inundated with, handout until you're totally depleted. And that even goes for people who are constantly saying yes and have no healthy boundaries. I had to learn that. I didn't come to this planet with healthy boundaries. I had no boundaries. None. Having a child taught me to have boundaries. Being in business taught me to have boundaries. So there is the sense of reciprocity that comes when you can be the authority that says, you can do this. Here are some tips. Now you must take the responsibility for yourself to say yes. When it came to donations in our house, I started researching the places that were asking for money. And I found out maybe 10% of the actual dollar that I gave got to the recipient. I was like, that's not good enough. It's got to be 95% to 100%. That's it. Administration costs, whatever your deal is, I would say to people. And I would talk to them on the phone. They would say, oh, can you give to this fund or whatever? And I would say, can you tell me how much percentage-wise of my dollar gets to the recipient in need? Because if it's less than 95%, I will just literally give cash to a person who has that illness. Because then I know my dollar is working. That's my boundary with donations. So I developed that. And so, when the phone rings, my husband hands me the phone. When somebody asks for money. Right? Makes sense. Let me just check in. Casey, do I have Capricorn in anything other than the late mother? I don't know. Well, you're a Gemini rising. So let's look at it. I don't actually know. I'm not looking at your chart, so I don't know. But let me show people again what Saturn... That is, that's like a fancy Saturn. symbol. Here's another one. Hang on. There's one. Looks like an H with a cross at the top. So wherever you have, that's Saturn, but the Capricorn is the rainbow one. So wherever you have Capricorn in your chart, and I'll also do the screenshot again, Capricorn looks like that. Wherever you have that, if you have a planet in that symbol, then you have a planet in Capricorn. And with Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto on, oh, look at see all the retrogrades? The red RXs represents retrograde. And this is older. This is July 23rd, but still, it's valid. Capricorn is the energy, again, that represents, and let me get rid of these, your sense of karmic duty and responsibility. Sometimes, some people would call it tough love, or teaching people how to plant seeds instead of, giving them money, right? So it's that sense of, I need to grow, but not feel restricted. And if I do feel restricted, I need to check in with fear, because Pluto is also in Capricorn. Jupiter's in Capricorn. Everything's in retrograde. So it's all about going within right now and saying to yourself, I know that I'm great at that thing, but I feel insecure. What if it doesn't work? What if what I say doesn't help? And in fact, what if it hurts? What if it harms? So that's great. These are great reality checks to always check with yourself. So that's why research is important. That's why, fact checking is important. That's why whatever you say or do in this world, based on your drive, your motivation, your desire, relates to how you want to serve, but not at the sake of yourself. That doesn't help anyone. Okay? Making sense? I'm just going to pull a little card here for Saturn. Mr. Darcy would understand. I'm sure he is a Capricorn rising. Some of these cards I've never pulled, so they're kind of exciting when I mix up the deck. Let's see. Okay, this is regarding Saturn in Capricorn. Let's see if I can. Some of these cards are so darn big, I cannot, some of them flip right out of my hands. Come say hello to me. I'm doing an homage to Jane Austen. You can even see the cobwebs in the windowsill, the window pane. I don't have enough money to hire a housekeeper. That's something Saturn in Capricorn would say. And also, I don't want somebody touching my stuff. Okay, Saturn in Capricorn. Whoa, flipped right out there. Well, I would never associate this picture with Saturn in Capricorn. I've never pulled this card before. This is Colette Baron Reed deck. Peaks of Joy. Okay. Oh, can we see that? Peaks of Joy. Joy is yours today. No matter what your inquiry, you will be happy with the results. You're coming closer. I have to turn the page because I don't know this card. To a sense of achievement, and you've worked hard. You're surrounded by true companions. Events are synchronistically arranged to bring you the next level of your life. Let gratitude fill your heart and remember to share your happiness. Joy is contagious. So that's the place where we want to get to with Saturn in Capricorn retrograde. It's like saying, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I have wherewithal. My fingers work. My joints are getting stronger. I'm so grateful. Instead of, oh my God, the pain, the struggle, the doom, the gloom, the locusts. Okay, because that's one end of Capricorn, especially Saturn in Capricorn. That makes sense. So peaks of joy. It's really, this is how I've been feeling, especially when I go to that place I talked about, OsteoStrong, to help my bones. I don't know if we can, well, I have green screen, so it's hard. This is a very green background. So she's just floating through. It's just beautiful. And I think it's also time to recognize with Saturn in Capricorn, and I'm gonna go back to the screenshot here. Okay. Now this is a week old, this chart. So some of the things have moved. We are in Leo, right? The sun is in Leo, which means now we're ready to take more risks. We're feeling a little less hidden. Don't look at me, I'm a Cancer, right? That's what sun in Cancer would say. I'm busy, I'm quiet, I'm overwhelmed, I got stuff to do, but don't bother me. But now that the sun is in Leo, we're going to be really, what's that? I want to do that. But come on, we can go. Let's go travel. We could do something. Well, it'll be okay. Really, it'll be, so there's this jump to, let's take a risk. Let's be a little bit more exuberant. Let's just shift that thought from to. So now that pull, we still have, well, wait a minute. We still have 3, 4, kind of an opposition from the sun to the Capricorn planets, but not much. Because in July, it was the sun in Cancer opposing these planets in Capricorn and pulling that stuff out of you. Like, what is the problem? Let's see it on an X-ray. Let's see it in conversation, in therapy. Let's see it in just relaxing and being vulnerable and opening up and expressing yourself. What's the problem? What's the matter? Because the matter that you are creating with every part of your being is now showing up in the world. And Leo says, we're going to just put a little check on that and go, yeah, let's keep going. No, we're going to cross that one out. Let's do that. No, we're not going to do that. And that applies to people you become friends with. You want to have something reciprocal. That applies to work that you're looking for. Maybe there's an opportunity that you weren't thinking of. Saturn, Pluto, and it's Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, all retrograde, showing you there's something deep within that you've not been sharing. You have a talent, you have an ability, you have joy, you have purpose. So now's the time to, work out the kinks, get rid of the cobwebs and say, I don't want to be afraid anymore. I don't want to be afraid to go outside. When this first started, we have a neighbor who was terrified of going outside, and a young person. Would not get the mail, would not come into within 20 feet of anyone. And it's like, okay, sweetie, you know what? Fear is valid, but it's also contingent upon your understanding. Research, get to know what's possible, but also go within, get to know what's possible. So there's less fear, there's more moving out into the world. This is a triple water sign. So very like, So now we got Neptune. I should do an updated chart. Well, I will on Monday. But Neptune is in Pisces. That's a natural placement, also retrograde. And Saturn, and this is supporting this. So it's like saying, you have dreams. You have a karmic destiny. And karma is not good or bad. It's a harmonizing of energy, and destiny is not written in stone. It's your soul and spirit's destination. So where do you want to go? What's that ideal vision? How do you want to come out of the box? I remember this cartoon, or not a cartoon, it was a Disney show that our kid used to watch as, out of the box, out of the box. Okay. And then they would make instruments and fuzzy hats. Okay, and we also are looking at a big Uranus and Taurus experience coming up. Let me just get rid of this screen. Well, that is Uranus there. Uranus is very electric and eclectic, wind, electricity, currents, water. And then there is Taurus, very stable, practical. We're taking something, just imagine this, we're taking something, higher concept, could be technology, could be spiritual, could be scientific. And what we're doing with it is grounding it into a valuable experience. What can that mean? I would say a lot of people right now are going to be, shocked into a reality that says, I didn't know I could do that. I could do that. So you're looking for permission. The Saturn part says, is that okay? Can I do that? Jupiter's like, yeah, let's go expand on that. And Pluto says, okay, but you will be changed forever. So now's the time. Grab that ring. Overcome that fear. Karma is not good or bad. Karma is every single action, thought. It's everything. It's the vibe you put into the world and it comes back to you. If you believe in limitation, your life will be limited. If you believe in expansion, opportunities will come. Make sense? Hi, Elaine. Late for the show. I'll have to catch it in replay. Blessings. Thank you for showing up at all. And please remember, if you're watching this on Facebook, replay or live, could you please comment and then give a little notification, thumbs up, and share to others. Let them know that I'm here. I'm expanding my reach right now. That's what I made my decision with all those planets in Capricorn. It's like, am I ready to go big or go home? Well, I'm not going home yet. Like the ultimate home. I'm not going home. So I'm going to go big. Yeah. Big hair. Big world. Big words. Indubitably. Thank you. And if you're on YouTube, I just mixed the cards. I mix them, and I'm playing. And guess what showed up again? Number 33, by the way. That's my favorite number. Peaks of joy, peaks of joy, peaks of joy. Isn't that just so fun? I love when that happens. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, click on the little bell, leave a comment, let me know how this video has helped you. All right, I'm going to be back. That went by very fast. I feel like I didn't say a lot, but I went by very fast. Whoops. And okay, 3 times the charm, folks. 3 times. I kid you not. Plopped right out. Plop right out. Sit right down. Yeah, I'll be back on the 3rd of August. And we're going to talk about the upcoming Lionsgate 8/8. And what that energy can produce. It is a portal of energy, and as I think on it now, the 3 planets that are in Capricorn, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, are really going to, in combination with Uranus in Taurus, are really going to shock you into something. And it's not a negative. It's not a negative. It's like Molly McCord, astrologer, talks about this, that she calls Uranus a zap. It's like zzz, zzz, zzz. So when you have that kind of awareness, you can say, what? Okay, I look at this card. I've never even seen this card. I'm seeing it now. And it's gorgeous, and I hope it'll show up on screen. It's called the Spirit of Place. Authenticity is the essence of power. So I want you to take a look at this card. Here's a woman. She's an elf. She is imbued with butterfly wings on her eyelashes, and she's part of the fauna and the foliage. Spirit of Place. Is that not stunning? Well, it doesn't actually show the true colors because of my green screen. It is very green and yellow, all shades of green and mist. But I think it's stunning because it shows that the joy does not, some people say, well, if you don't work hard for it, you don't reap the rewards. Yes, you need to work hard for stuff. You need to, sometimes you get the machine going. You got to push. But if you believe, as I said, coming back to that spiritual foundation of, if you believe that if you have the power to create miracles in your world by your vibration alone, let alone, not even thinking of thoughts, words, but your vibration alone, you put an essence of joy into the world, and it's not about struggle anymore. It's about letting go. And then it comes to you. Okay? Does that make sense? Put a white piece of paper behind. I don't know if I even have a white piece of paper. Oh, let's see. No, does the same. Green screen. The power of technology in the recording world. All right, well, Jane Austen would say many things. And that your occupation need not be a struggle. There, Jane would say that. Your occupation need, and here's a woman, okay, Jane, born December 16th, whose whole family was in poverty. Even though many achieved, her brothers did have some achievement. One went bankrupt as a banker. Another one also lost half of his holdings. So, and she opted not to marry, as that was the only option to keep the women afloat in the family. So Jane died very young, and she was also ill. Her words were amazing, and they still live on today. And the idea that a woman's worth is equal, if not exceeding, a man's in business and in thought, but in action and deed. And so when you get out into the world, or you think about Saturn, especially in Capricorn, you have the authority. You have something that nobody else does. You are the only you that exists. And from that only you have such power, such grace, such optimism and joy that you can share it just by smiling, just by asking someone, oh, you look like you need a little help. Okay, never at the sake of yourself, though. Because the old days of struggle, where you have to give and give and give, and that's okay, I don't need to get anything back, that's just BS. And we don't want to be emotionally, financially, spiritually, sexually bankrupt anymore, right? So let's go forward with joy and that spirit. All right, I'll be back on Monday. Have a fantastically beautiful, sparkly weekend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being, and pass it on. Okay. Have a great one.